we are not important anymore. So in the past 10 to 15 years, we have been observing the constant degradation of the level of importance of the European Union from the Chinese point of view. So 15 years ago, China was looking at Europe as a potential pole in a multipolar world system to, balance between the United States, China, Russia, Brazil, India, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, given how the European Union and its leaders and its elite reacted to the global financial crisis more than a decade ago, then the Eurozone crisis, according to my experiences, whenever I talk to Chinese colleagues, they always say that, yeah, Europe is a major trade partner to China. Economically, it's important, but it's not a geopolitical actor. It's not a political actor anymore, or not at least a very important political actor in the world. And if I really want to assess what the Chinese feel, I would put it into one single word: disappointment. They are disappointed about the performance of the European Union, and so am I, actually. Story short, the 16+1, or now called 17+1 cooperation, started in 2011. And we have to think about the context, the political and economic context of that period. We shouldn't forget that it was still the aftermath of the global financial crisis and the very beginning of the Eurozone crisis. So the point was that all Central and Eastern European countries, back then, 16 of them, had to find new economic partners, because for Central and Eastern Europe, trade is super important. For example, in the case of Hungary, our trade to GDP ratio is close to 180%. So we are very open economies. Trade, export, and import is super important, and so is foreign direct investment. So most of the Central European economies are dependent on the inflow of investment by foreigners, and we are also very much dependent on the European markets. In the case of most of Central European countries, the range of export dependence on the EU is somewhere between 60 to 90%. So Europe is super important, developed markets were super important, and suddenly, because of the global financial and the Eurozone crisis, the market just simply dried up. No more liquidity, 25% drop in export, 30% drop in direct investment into our economies. So it was a very natural reaction to find new, or to seek for new economic partners. Here in the West, we have a very different mindset. We have a deductive mindset. It means that whenever we want to build something, be it a city or a company or an international corporation, first we make very detailed plans, roadmaps, blueprints, feasibility studies, sustainability studies, and when it's done, then we present it to the public and start to build it, physically. Well, the Chinese, they have, or the East Asian people, to be more precise, they have a very different mindset usually, and it's an inductive mindset. They have a general idea or a strategic goal, and they say that, okay, we want to get there, let's start to build something from the grassroots, and we'll see how it evolves, and we'll, it's a trial and error way of approach, and when we get there, we cross the bridge. But we don't plan it in a very detailed manner in advance. I'm not saying that this one is better or that one is better, this approach or that approach. What I'm saying that these are very different, and when they meet each other, there is a very big chance for misunderstandings. The Belt and Road Initiative, so the new Silk Road, is a prime example of this, but 16+1 is another great example of this, that the Chinese realized that, okay, we have some opportunities, economic and maybe political opportunities here in Central Europe. Let's do something with these countries, and let's see what it evolves into on the long run. The problem is that Western European countries, especially German way of thinking, is very, very different. They say that, okay, so the Chinese are there in Central Europe, so we should know what they want to do over there. Let's look at the Chinese plans or strategy. Oh my God, there is no Chinese plan or strategy. It means that it has to be a secret. And if it's a secret, it must be malicious. What I would like to emphasize that what Central Europe needs and what China wanted to do in Central Europe was two very different things. Central Europe was interested in greenfield investment, creation of new jobs, research and development and innovation and stuff like that. Meanwhile, China was and is interested in investment into infrastructure. The Budapest-Belgrade railway line is one of the very few examples where China succeeded, especially in the Central and Eastern European EU member states. China was quite unsuccessful because what China really wanted to do and still wants to do today is to offer loans to get rid of its excess financial capacity, to offer loans and to build infrastructure financed by those Chinese loans in these countries. Now, why would that be a very good, opportunity to Central European EU member states? We are entitled to apply to non-refundable European grants, cohesion funds, infrastructure funds. Those are all free money. Of course, also in those European cases, most of the infrastructure is to be built by European companies, the Germans, the Dutch, the French, or the Austrians, but still it's non-refundable. Why would we ask for a Chinese loan for an infrastructure to be eventually built by Chinese companies? It's just simply not a good offer. China has been way more successful in non-EU member states of the region, that is practically the Western Balkans, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, but in the EU member states, to be very frank, it was a long 10 years of constant disappointment for most of the countries and the governments in the region.